What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, this is a rebuttal, not a rebuttal, this is a response video, I think that's what it's called, to the Jason Blaha video, ice cream fitness video called Spotting the Fake Natty 3. And he's got some flashy name in there, which I'm not going to say because I live in America, although I'm protected by freedom of speech. I heard that he is possibly going to be getting sued by someone. Whatever. Anyways, bottom line is, and this is what I said all along, fake natties are out there, and some of them are on real juice. I mean, there's hands down, there's no doubt about it. They'll pop pills, they'll take injections and stuff like that, and they'll find ways to beat the test. But the time frame that Jason is talking about, and I agree with him 100%, these people are enhanced. There were some specific designer steroids that were out that were sold as supplements. Now, these people, they may not be on Trenbolone per se, like they may not take injections of Trenbolone, but there was more than one Trenbolone analog on the market that was an oral version of Tren that worked just like it and had the same effects. Now, if this person was not a regular steroid user, their body would absorb this stuff and they would get that super drug-like look from it. And as opposed to somebody, let's say they did 50 steroid cycles in their life, they may not get the strong response like someone who had just tried it would. So these things were being used, and I saw even the androstenediol, 19-norandrodiol, the 19-norandrin, all this stuff that when it came out, it was some powerful shit, and everybody thought it was supplements. And none of the federations knew about it, but people were using it. So now what happens is the federations now are keen to it. Now all these natural pro bodybuilders, these natural bodybuilders that were around in that time frame have since retired. And there's a reason for that. It's not that they're getting old, it's not that they can't bodybuild anymore, it's that they're going to fucking get caught with this pro-hormone shit, and most of them are banned and illegal now, so they can't even get their hands on them. But now what's happening is, when you take a polygraph test, let me explain it to you this way. If you take a polygraph test for a natural fed, and you go into the room, there's usually a line of people waiting before you go in that room to take the polygraph test. You pay your fee. Back when I was in the NBC, it was like $25. You go in the room, and like it takes about 15 minutes to take the polygraph test. If you pass. Now, if you fail the polygraph test, you sit in the chair, you pay another $25 or whatever, and you can take it again. Now, here's the kicker. If you're having a hard time passing it, and a promoter or someone really wants you to pass it and compete, you'll sit in that chair and they won't shut the polygraph test off. They'll start changing the questions. So now what happens, they'll do the test questions like, did you take any steroids for this competition? Or they'll say stuff like, have you ever taken a steroid? No. Is your name Jerry Ward? Yes. Do you live at such and such and such? Yes. Are you this age? Yes. And then they start asking the questions. So let's just say they say, did you take any specific steroids for this show? And you're like, no. And the needle moves the wrong way. They know you're lying. And as they interpret that, after they're done with the questions, they'll go back and say, did you take any steroids? Not specifically for this show, but have you taken steroids? You'll answer it again. And what they'll do is if you get it right and the needle doesn't jump, they count that one and not the one before. So the thing can be manipulated depending on what the promoter wants and who the athlete is. If it's a big name athlete that has to do the show and they want him in there, they're going to get him to pass. But the bottom line is you're going to be in there for like a half an hour. Now that line of people waiting to go in, they know how long it takes. So if you're in there for a half an hour, that means you're fucking failing the polygraph test, which does mean more than likely that you're on drugs and they're trying to get you to pass it. So now what happens is they get you to pass it, you come out of the room, and of course you look like you're all juiced to the gills, and these motherfuckers are like, this motherfucker, he passed? He's in there for 45 minutes, he fucking passed it? Yeah, okay, we'll see you on stage, and the guy takes off. Now what happens is all those people that were standing in line start to talk to the other competitors. They start to talk to the people in the crowd, in the audience, the vendors, like, oh, this motherfucker, you know, he came in, he failed the polygraph test, they had him keep taking it. Word spreads fast. So even if you technically passed it and were able to compete, the fact that you were in there so long, it doesn't matter. You're caught. So now at this point, what do? You say, well, I was in there because I know the guy, he's a friend of mine, we were catching up, talking about families. No, you are fucked at that point and exposed as being on drugs, trying to compete in a natural organization. Now, some of the piss tests that were out before didn't pick up any of these compounds. Many of them have metabolites after they're digested and transformed into these different compounds in your system. Now, a lot of the feds are smart. They're not testing for the compounds, they're testing for the metabolites, which means testosterone metabolites, nandrolone metabolites, trembolone metabolites, so that if the metabolite is left, it's like heroin. When you shoot up heroin, you don't test positive for heroin, you test positive for morphine metabolites. So they know that they're looking for other things in a general wide area that they can't pass anymore. And even the masking agents, which were diuretics before they would use for masking agency, those are tested for, most of them. These feds are not stupid. So between those two things, you're left with possibly getting outed as a natural as a drug bodybuilder, competing in a natural organization, or retiring with your record intact, with no speculation other than the fact that you have a great physique, which you can argue back all day long at that point. And that's the route that these guys are going. Now, I want to state something about that powerlifting part that Jason Blaha was talking about, because I know 2 national champions, and one's actually a world champion around here, natural powerlifters, who were actually used to train in our gym, and they were actually tested at our gym. The federation actually sent them in the middle of the gym while they were training randomly one day and took this girl off to the bathroom, took a sample to make sure she was clean. Now, essentially, she's like the Michael Jordan of her sport, okay? She is what female powerlifting is all about. So these guys, I mean, they're the shit, and they compete in a tested federation on level playing ground. Now, let me ask you this question. If you were so good at doing powerlifting, you were so amazing at it, that you were blowing away people that were on gear, why? Just why? Because you were already competing in a natural bodybuilding federation. It's not like you went into the NPC Nationals because you were so good that you could beat the juiced up guys. If you were such a good powerlifter that you were destroying enhanced guys, why would you possibly not go into a tested federation, get the world records, which you could then brag about behind all your other accolades and your pieces of paper, which would again be a world champion, okay? Not a pro, a world champion, and blow everybody out of the water and be famous over there. Because if you go in that federation that's tested, you're going to get caught. That's why. You would rather go in the untested federation, beat all of them and claim natural, even though everybody knows you're full of shit, than to actually put your shit on the line, get tested, and test positive for whatever the fuck it is you're taking, and look like a jackass. Because you know, the first fucking time you test positive in a natural federation after swearing how long you've been natural, you're fucked. Your career's over, your reputation is over, everything you've ever done is in question, and you're fucked. Just like Lance Armstrong, Barry Bonds, all of them, you're fucked. You are going to be in the same position that they're in, and nobody's going to believe you ever again. So I believe that there's a lot of reason to lie and be enhanced and compete against naturals, and I believe that this is very planned out, this whole system and how it works. And it's not just they picked this federation because it's the best lifters. No, the best natural, lifetime drug-free tested lifters don't powerlift in that federation. Which means that if you're really that good, wouldn't you want to test yourself? If your ego was that big and you thought you were so badass, and your totals and shit would blow away the enhanced guys, that means you destroy these other fucking guys by like 300 pounds of lift. You'd look even better. Why not do that? Food for thought. Right, Jason? BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. www.biostraining.com is the blog, and we're out.